Excuse me.
Are you driving?
I'm not driving, I'm riding.
Oh, I was going to say, Mr. Klein, this is illegal.
I'm on my way to Peoria.
Oh, yeah, I forgot you said you had that doctor's thing today.
Yeah, but I figured I could do the psychology thing as long as all the technology cooperated. I can do the psychology stuff in the car. Let's face it, this is pretty cool because I'm in Champaign, basically, and I'm teaching the class. We'll give it a couple more minutes for people to show up. That's where we get today. So
when we get there, am I going into that room by myself?
like, do you want to? You want me to go?
Kind of. I kind of want to try going in by myself.
Fine by me. Okay, so today we're just going to kind of go over the questions that would have been on your unit number 3 exam. Now, of course, for that exam, what you would have done was prepare your own group presentation and everything and collect the data from it to use to answer these questions. So obviously yesterday, since you couldn't teach your own class, we looked at a elementary school second grade teacher's class, and we're going to use the data from that video to try to answer these questions here. So let's start with number 1 here. What elements of conditioning did this teacher include in their teaching? And let me unmute everybody so you can participate. So for question number 1, based on the video, what elements of conditioning did this teacher include in their teaching?
Positive reinforcement.
Okay, so positive reinforcement, how?
Every time like they do something right, should be like awesome or nice job or
Good. Were there any other elements of conditioning in there?
Negative reinforcement.
Okay, how so, Rachel?
Like when the one person like wasn't paying attention, she went over and like made sure that they were paying attention to her, and then like not in a forceful way, but like made sure that they kind of yelled at them a little bit.
Okay. And those were good answers for question number 1 that I would have accepted and given you full credit for. So let's discuss question number 2. How did this teacher shape the behavior of students in the classroom?
They made sure all of them are participating.
Okay, how did she do that?
By having like activities up on the board and like having them do all of them like in groups and like telling them like to turn to their neighbors and say something, just making sure all of them were paying
Okay.
attention and participating.
And how was that shaping their behavior? What was the terminal behavior that you think the teacher was shooting for? What was she teaching?
Fraction.
Fraction. So what do you think was the desired behavior that she was looking for at the end of the lesson?
Like for them to understand it.
Okay. So if you had to put in a sentence, this is my goal for this lesson, how would you describe that?
For everyone to learn fractions.
But what about fractions? Remember, you want a desired behavior at the end. What did she really focus on about fractions?
Like picking out the numerator and the denominator part.
Yeah, so you might be able to phrase that question as the terminal behavior is to be able to recognize which number is the numerator and which number is the denominator. So how did she shape behavior to get to that desired end where they could get to the understanding what the numerator is and what the denominator is?
She had that little catchy phrase that they did, like the denominator on the down or whatever.
Okay. Do you guys remember what shaping behavior is? Remember we talked about it in conjunction with the dog rolling over, that you had these steps to get them to the desired terminal behavior.
Well,
so how did she get to at the end? What did she start out with?
She started out with she started out with learning the numerator, and then started out with whole fractions or something like that. I can't really remember what.
Okay, so she started out explaining what a fraction was.
Yeah.
And once they understood, okay, this is what a fraction is, then how did she explain the numerator?
It's the part that was shaded on the pie that wasn't at the whole.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. And then she explained the denominator the similar way. So she starts out with kids, their behavior, they know nothing about fractions. Denominator is, and then is to explain fully, okay, this is how the numerator and denominator are represented in the fraction. So she shaped their behavior through understanding to the various parts to a terminal behavior of, I can now work with fractions. And I don't have video of any future lessons, but I imagine that in the next day or two, she'd probably get into it. If you have two fractions to add together. All right, so what type of reinforcement was
I already said positive, and Rachel said negative.
okay? But what kind of schedule, I should say, what type of reinforcement schedule was used?
Oh, she did it. It was the one that she does after every good thing that they do right. So it's every time. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, and that's what I would be looking for in your answer is the exact terminology.
Yeah. Wasn't it like variable?
Was it variable? She was doing it every time?
Like a fixed, something like that.
Fixed
ratio.
Was it a ratio or was it interval? Interval being kind of a random.
Oh, so fixed ratio.
It was a fixed ratio, yes. So in that respect, she used fixed ratio. Did she use any kind of variable?
I don't think so.
What about when she just randomly called up kids to come and do stuff up at the board? She didn't have a pattern or an assigned thing like you do number one, you do number two. It was just kids raising their hands and going, okay, Johnny, Come on up to the board and do this fraction for us. Wasn't that a variable interval?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What elements of observational learning did she use in her teaching?
She had her like smart board thing, so they were able to like see things, and like whenever they did the pie thing on the
Okay,
board.
good. Was there anything else?
Didn't they do like a shape thing?
Yeah, they had various shaded shapes. Anything else? I thought there was one really big one that I don't think I could ever use in my classes, because I think but for a second grade class, I thought it was pretty good. What about the hand signals for everything?
I was about to say that. I was kind of actually confused on that.
Yeah, so I mean that was an example of observational learning there, because they're watching their other classmates, use these hand signals and everything to relay their answer, rather than just the auditory, just listening to it. So how did this teacher differentiate her teaching to be considerate of multiple intelligences?
Didn't she like have them matched up with like a peer or something? And so like they probably most likely had someone who was smarter, and it didn't really matter. Like either way, everyone was going to learn how to do the fractions.
Well, that's not really Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. That really doesn't work in that. In what ways did she address the multiple intelligences that might be?
Like she made them like go up to the board, and she used like all of the different like she like what's it called? I don't know the word, but she made like the learn like I'm saying like so much. I'm too I don't know how to phrase it. Like if it was
what are some of the intelligences in Gardner's theory?
Hands-on, like the
So tactile.
Yeah.
Did she use any tactile?
She had them fill in the little pie thing.
Yeah. Now what else? What other types of learners are there in Gardner's theory?
Isn't there like the people that hear stuff?
Yeah, so auditory learners, and how did she address them?
She was up there speaking.
Yes.
And
What about visual learners?
It was projected on the board.
Yeah, so she used multiple things for tactile, kinesthetic, visual, auditory. She used a lot of different approaches to address the multiple intelligences that might be present amongst her students to kind of get her point across. What technique did she use to increase retention of material in her students' memory?
She made them repeat things over and over.
Okay, so repetition was one.
Wouldn't it be like speaking it to someone else, like what she says to them? Is that different than repetition?
Not really.
Yeah.
Did she ever try to connect it to real life? What she was doing with her fractions?
Pizza.
Pie.
Yeah. So she was making that connection to real life to help them remember it by associating it with something else, as well as the repetition. Those were the two main techniques I saw her using in that regard. How did she connect the students' learning to emotions?
What?
Or feelings? When someone got an answer right, what did the class do?
Like clapped and was happy.
Yeah, so it was a good feeling to get something right? And I'm sure that's something she's encouraged in her classroom at 2 months before. Yes. What else? I think you guys just said it a little bit ago. What real life thing did she connect those fractions to?
To food that they liked.
Okay, but what specifically was it you said?
Oh, pie.
Pizza.
Pizza, pies. What emotion or feeling is that associated with?
Hunger.
Hunger. So there you go. So now she's kind of connected it to that base feeling to do a little bit of operant conditioning there, right? Classical conditioning there. So how did she motivate her students, and where did this motivation fit into Maslow's hierarchy?
How did she motivate? Okay, so I feel like she had almost like the other students motivate him too, him or her. Because like if they
Okay.
did something right, not only she motivated them and was like, good job, but the whole class did.
Okay. Where does that fit in hierarchy there?
I have no idea. It's been so long. I don't know.
Well, remember that pyramid at the very bottom are the base needs that we have to fulfill, like hunger, shelter, things
okay.
like that. Then above that, security needs. And
So
then
it'd be
above
like the
that
top
was,
part.
yeah, nearer the top, right? Feeling
Yeah.
good about ourselves at the pyramid. It's kind of steep, so don't go so fast. So, were there any other ways she motivated her students? I lost my internet connection. Still there with me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I lost my internet connection there. What about when some of the kids got a little bit maybe out of control or out of hand, started touching other kids or talking? What did she do?
She used that slant thing or whatever.
The what thing? I'm sorry.
Slants where they had to like sit forward, learn with
Okay.
something else. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what do you think that did to the students in the class who are worried about, okay, what are other students going to be doing to me? Or
So they're all going to be doing the same thing.
so they felt a little bit more secure and safe, right?
So that's the second thing.
Yeah, exactly. The second level of the pyramid there. Now, I didn't see her really. If she was going to have problems in her class, what do you think the problems would be?
Not focusing.
But why?
Because they might not understand it as fast as other kids are.
But why?
Because some people have different intelligences.
But she's addressed. So which ones wasn't she that you would have to worry about those particular students?
Well, some kids like learn with music or whatever.
Okay, so maybe kids who are more musically inclined might, it might be a little bit harder for them to learn fractions. What about Maslow's hierarchy? Where in there would she might struggle?
The last one.
What do you mean by the last one?
Tier.
At the very bottom, what if there's some kids who are hungry who haven't, eaten, or so she, maybe providing snacks or something might, do something, or coming up with a song about fractions. So you've come up with a couple of good ways to address, okay, here's the issues in the class. And on the actual test, there actually was somewhere you were going to write something about, okay, how would you improve your lesson for next time? And that's kind of what I wanted you to focus on, was those things. So really, that's all the Unit 3 test would have been. It was 2 weeks, and one of those weeks was you planning out your lesson, and then the other week was you, giving it and then writing this paper. So do you guys have any questions about this test?
No.
Nope.
All right, well, if you want to complete it, you can certainly write it out now and take a picture of it and send it to me, and I'll enter it as a 100% test score for you if you need that extra credit to bring your grade up.
Okay.
Stop the share now. So everything going good for you guys?
Yep.
Here's my. I want to show you how cool technology is. Here's my view right now.
Are you driving?
Cullum is
No.
driving. Actually, I'm riding along. We're going to Peoria for a doctor's appointment.
Oh my
And
God!
I
I was
am-
gonna say.
I am outside Champaign right now in Mahomet. So I just taught a class in the car about 100 miles away. So pretty cool. I might have to, next time I need a sub, I might just, phone in and give the class. All right, well, guys, we aren't going to meet again until next Tuesday. So enjoy your weekend. And I reckon I'll talk to you then.
Cool.
Bye.
All right, see you later. Bye.
Bye bye. How do I? Oh, there one.